Do you have holes in the walls of your home? Few can claim pristine plaster throughout their abode. Oftentimes, these indentations come from critters or an angry construction project. But sometimes, they are made out of fear. Today, we speak with the hosts of the podcast, The Activity Continues, and learn firsthand what things they have experienced that could make them run screaming through a wall. Listen, laugh, and lean into the scares today on Homespun Haints. Hello, Hainted Loves. Welcome to Homespun Haints. I'm Becky.
Hey, I'm Diana.
Today on the show, have we got a fun one for you. It is a fivesome. We've got the lovely ladies. What? What do you want me to call it? A quintet? I mean...
Oh, I like quintet.
We've got a quintet, yes. We have the wonderful hosts of The Activity Continues. Amy, AP, and Megan are going to be on the show with us today, and we're so excited because, as you can imagine, triple the guests, triple the fun, triple the ghosts.
Ooh, that's right. 5 of us. What could we do with 5 people that you couldn't do with 3?
You could play the Boccherini Quintet.
See, that's the traditional meaning of quintet, I suppose.
Well, speaking of music, I had a little experience the other day at my new job.
Becky, you told me you got haunted recently.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, I just got a new job. I had been, with Diana as my sidekick, a web developer for 25 years. And, it kind of sucks. Like, I hate it. But I just kept doing it because I was like, damn it, if I just try hard enough, I can actually...
That's how work goes,
yeah.
Especially when you're an entrepreneur.
Yes, exactly. But an opportunity opened up, and I decided, you know what? If this whole web design thing isn't working out, being a professional musician surely must.
Plus, it keeps your fiddling fingers fit.
I like that. That's a lot of alliteration.
You're welcome.
So I took a job teaching violin at a local music school. The studio that I work at, I actually have 2 locations that I teach out of because they have multiple locations throughout the area, but I teach at 2 of them. And the first one that I spend most of my time at is just, your typical like office-y kind of building. Like, your psychiatrist might be in that type of building. It's like an office park, and they've got it subdivided into different rooms and things when you go in there. It's fine. It's nice. It's close to home. But the other location, their original location, is a very old house of questionable age.
A questionable... What? How is this possible?
I don't know.
It just sprung up one night, and the locals were like, it's always been there.
It could be. I have no idea.
Okay.
Plus, it has one of those floor grates just like yours. I took a photo of it the very first time I was in this building. I'm in this little back room, and us musicians, I like to say that now, us musicians. Oh, that sounds so good. Oh my God, I love this. We're not the most organized bunch.
Oh, really?
And we like to collect things like recording equipment and instruments. So this room literally is like a storeroom / music studio. I mean, there's an old piano that may even be older than the house sitting in the corner. I saw some recording equipment from the 80s shoved under one of the tables. Okay, so I'm in this room with like an ancient piano and gobs of ancient gear and equipment. And I'm teaching, and it's getting darker and darker. I'm in an old house. I am fine. I love my job. I love my students. I'm just tickled pink. Well, anyway, so my last student finished up, and there's still a little bit of light coming in through the windows, and I get the lights turned off, so I can still see okay. But it's around 7 o'clock at night, and it's summer, so, it's a little shaded in there by now. I gather all my stuff up, and the room next to mine doesn't have a door, and there's a lesson going on next to it. So I have to tiptoe by them so I don't disturb them. And I come out into the main room, the waiting area, carrying 2 violin and a viola on one arm and my bag of music over one shoulder. And then in my other hand, I have my purse, and I do my cursory wallet, phone, keys, check. No phone. What? Why would my phone not be in my purse? I know I had it because I had actually shown one of my earlier students, I had shown him Vivaldi's violin because I had seen that in Venice. And I was like, you want to see what Vivaldi's violin looks like? And so I pulled up a photo. And of course, he was like, that's not really. Are you pulling my leg? And I was like, no, I actually went to Venice and saw this damn violin. I'm not making this up. Why would I make this up? I'm your teacher.
Remember when we were young and we trusted adults? I don't think that's the case anymore.
Right? So, can't find my phone. And I'm like, I know I had it. I know I put it back in my purse because I'm very careful about that because, like, did I mention this room is full of stuff. I have to be very careful about, like, putting things back exactly where they found them. Otherwise, who knows what could happen. Can't find my phone. Put down my instruments. Tiptoe back into the room. Look around. Look on everything. Every surface. On the chair. On the piano. It's not a very big room. There's not a lot of places to search. I got the light back on. I'm looking around. Cannot find the phone anywhere. Tiptoe back out into the lobby. Maybe I set it down here. Maybe I put it in another bag. Looking through everything. Can't find it. Tiptoe back into the room. I'm like stunned. I'm like, it's not anywhere. And now I'm starting to freak out. I don't know what could have happened. It's really weird. Like I had it and then I didn't. So I'm spinning around. I put my purse down. I look at all of the chairs that we had all been sitting in. There's like 2 chairs. So I look on the surfaces of the chairs. Don't see anything. Look in my bags again. Don't see anything. Turn around. Look at this like really messy table that I've like kind of scooched stuff out of the way to like make room for a violin case to open. It's not there. Turn back around to that chair that I had just looked at. And there's my phone.
Not the same color as the chair, so it was camouflaged.
Nothing like that. No.
Hidden in the darkness
no.
or anything, or stuffed in between the cushion and the arm.
No,
of
it was
the chair
like
down
it's
the
got a
side.
shiny back, and I saw it because it was like glinting the light, and it's high contrast. The back, it was like face down, so it was the back of the phone, not the black mirror side. So it was the back of the phone, which is like a light platinum color.
How did the house get your phone there without you noticing or hearing something?
I don't know. I think it was playing with me.
Oh?
It felt playful. But, you know, it reminded me of that story that we had with a guest way back when with a guitar pick. Same thing, a musician. So I'm like, I wonder if that like musician equipment stealing ghost followed me through the airwaves and settled in. And when I saw it, I almost like had that like feeling where my heart skipped a little bit of a beat because it was like, oh, that I knew that wasn't there a minute ago. I know.
So there was either something playfully hiding it from you, or there was some reason why you could not see it.
Oh, as if maybe me getting in my car a few minutes later avoided some tragedy? Could be.
Perhaps, and your vision was clouded to the truth momentarily, so that you would stick around for a few more minutes.
Maybe.
Going by the everything happens for a reason theory.
Could be. Though, could just be that a ghost wanted to play a joke on me. I don't know.
Oh, man. Losing your phone is terrifying, especially when somebody might have taken it from you. I swear I felt somebody pickpocket me once and my phone was gone and I freaked out and I asked everybody in the building to help me call it and nobody found it. And I finally got back to my car and discovered it was like underneath my seat and had fallen out of my pocket while I was getting out of my car. So somebody just touched my butt, which is a relief.
Oh, thank God. I was just groped.
Yeah, that was what I said. Literally to the people helping me look for my phone. But now that I've had that experience, because what's the difference between actually experiencing a pickpocketing and thinking you experienced a pickpocketing? Nothing for the first several minutes of it, right? So it's the same in your head and your heart. And so I still like my phone every time, reach for my pocket every time I feel something brush up against me. Like, I am so glad you found your phone, though, because that would have been a terrible place for it to spend the weekend with the ghost.
Imagine it would have gotten some good photos on it, though. Yeah, there'd been a ghost party.
Or maybe it would just be scared.
Maybe. Well, you know, the thing is, I knew. I never had that feeling that it had been stolen. I knew it hadn't been stolen. I knew. I mean, there was absolutely no way, unless a ghost. Yeah. Hi. I know. Come here. Come here. Say hi to the camera. Hi, dear. Yeah.
Ella, I hear you've been bulking up on your new
She's
diet.
been doing good. Says I've gained a whole pound. I'm getting a pooch.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Well, listeners, what do you think? Was it a kleptogeist? Or was it my guardian angel or spirit guide keeping me in the studio for a few minutes longer to avoid something?
In the show notes at homespunhates.com. There, you can actually find a lot more information about this episode and other things that we do. And plus, you can find a link to join our Patreon, which is still going strong. Thank you to all our patrons for sponsoring our show. If you are a patron, you get special perks like no commercials. And if you aren't a patron, you don't.
Oh man, I had a rough day.
What happened, honey?
I was out with the guys and
And?
they said I wasn't spooky enough.
Oh, honey, how could they say that to you? You're hella spooky.
You think so?
Of course. After all, you came up with the ectoplasm being ghost jizz theory, and you've been scratched by more horny ghosts than anyone else I know.
Well, I suppose you're right.
But if you're really worried about it, I have just the thing.
Oh wow, a spooky AF t-shirt?
That's right. Our Spooky AF line comes in shirt, sweatshirt, pillow, and even a high-quality mug.
Man, those are super awesome, especially for something with profanity on it.
What's even better, all these items were hand-lettered exclusively for Homespun Hates by world-renowned calligrapher Nikki Malik.
Holy ghostly cannoli, that's amazing.
From now on, whenever you brandish your Spooky AF gear, no one will accuse you of being boring.
Yeah, I'm spooky AF.
Visit homespunhates.com for all Spooky AF merchandise.
Today on the show, we are so thrilled to bring on some fellow podcasters, fellow spooky podcasters, Megan, AP, and Amy of the Activity Continues podcast. They're spooky ladies like us. Thank you guys so much for being here today. This is a real joy to get to know you and talk to you. Tell us about the Activity Continues.
It started during the pandemic, of course, like most podcasts do or have. I started watching this show called The Dead Files, and I had never heard of it before. It had already been on for like 12 or 13 years by then. And I was texting Megan like every couple days and being like, you have to watch this show. The show is so good. She finally did watch it, and then we would watch it and then text each other what we thought about it. And then I was like, why don't we just record ourselves talking about this and make it a podcast? And she was like, I'm in.
That's
So
awesome.
That's how that started.
She had to twist my arm. She really had to convince
Real
me.
hard.
And I'm pretty sure right after that, Megan's like, hey, we're starting this podcast. You should listen.
You all are in Minnesota. I've only been to Minnesota once. I just gotten out of a terrible relationship, and I decided I was going to drive. I was living in Chicago, and I was like, I'm going to drive to Minneapolis in my piece of shit car with no cell phone reception. This is the 90s. With, in a 1986 Corolla that I have to like constantly pour brake fluid in through Western Wisconsin. I mean, it was a very, very unsafe.
What could go wrong?
Right.
What could possibly go wrong?
In Chicago, it was April. And it was maybe like 50, 60 degrees. So, of course, Chicago, I'm like in a sundress, right? Because it's 50 degrees. And I drive to Minneapolis. I have never had my snot freeze before. But
It's the worst when your nose hairs freeze and it feels like you have like snot in your nose, but it's just your nose hairs frozen.
I mean, I had my hair freeze once in Wisconsin, but this was my nose. I was like, what the hell? I'm a Chicagoan.
Welcome to Minnesota.
You guys are tough.
Yeah.
So I understand that each of you have some experiences. Who wants to go first?
I can start.
Okay, AP, let's do it.
Yeah. One that really comes to mind was when I was younger. We moved into the house that I live in now, July 25th of 2000. And my grandpa had been in a coma and passed away the night that we actually, the first night was the 24th into the 25th, and he passed away that night. A couple months later, I was in my room, and this is before I had any dogs or anything sleeping in my room with me. I heard shh, 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 and I felt like something sit on the edge of my bed. And then I felt that depression go up. And then I heard that kind of shuffling sound, and I had a box still by the door, and I remember the sound of something hitting that box. And I didn't feel like overwhelmed, but I was just kind of like, what was that? And I was blind as a bat. Like, I have had my eyes corrected, but I was squinting and like wearing my glasses, trying to flip on the light and open the door, and the cat's laying outside going, what the hell are you doing? Turn it off, lady. Never figured it out, but I think it was my grandpa that was there, just like letting us know, like, hey, I know where you guys are now. Like, I'm okay, and I know where you guys are. And then every time we have a doorbell that would plug in to the downstairs area, and you could be standing next to the door and the doorbell would ring, but there's nobody there. And it was not consistent. So we had one of my cousins was like, oh, it's somebody's garage door opener causing that to happen. But it always happened when my grandma was sick, his wife, when it was a holiday or a birthday. And after she passed, it barely rang again.
Oh.
And my parents had, when I was off at college, they had all of our pictures up on the mantle, and they were sitting downstairs, and one by one, they fell off. The glass broke out of them. They weren't touching each other. They all just went chunk, 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 one by one off the mantle. I don't remember the timing as to when that happened, but I remember I was in college, as was my sister, and it was our high school graduation pictures that the glass broke out of.
With the doorbell, was that after your grandfather had passed?
Yep.
Okay, so it was almost like he was coming by to check on your grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like you'd gotten a new doorbell
No,
since
nope.
he passed away.
Nope. It was the doorbell that was here when we moved in. He never saw this house. And she didn't live with us or anything. They had some things that happened there. My grandma swears she saw him in the hallway one time. And my aunt at the time saw the salt and pepper shaker lift up the table and move across the table and come back down.
Nope.
None of my experiences I've ever felt afraid in the things that I've had. I've had excitement, I've had confusion, but I've never had fear, except for one time. But that was not related to my grandpa.
Don't forget the Lutzen one.
Yeah, so Lutzen, totally unrelated. This was a couple years ago. Lutzen Resort was a resort lodge that was up on the North Shore of Minnesota. And it's burned down now, but it was a very old building and had just really cool old rooms, but they were doing some renovations and stuff. I was there for a friend's wedding. I was there for 3 nights. First night I woke up, no issues. The next morning, Saturday morning, I woke up and I heard, oh no, my TV came on. The remote was on the other bed under some clothes that I had thrown over there. And the TV came on loud to a channel, not to like the menu source page.
Oh, weird.
I was like, okay, who's doing that? And I just like, can you not wake me up like that again, please? That was really rude. And just went back to bed. Later that day, I was getting ready for the wedding, was wearing a T-shirt that said, Girls Trip 2021 is cheaper than therapy. It was one my sister, my mom, my cousins, and my aunts, we all got when we went to Nashville the year before. And came back that evening, getting ready for bed, went to go grab that shirt, can't find it. I look around, I'm like, fine, I'll just sleep in a different shirt tonight, whatever. Go to bed, get up the next morning, I hear, hello, whispered in my ear. I had my window open and I went out to go look to see if anybody was outside. And there were some people out at the parking lot, but you couldn't hear them because the waves of the water was coming in off of the lake. And I always put a towel underneath my door so that nothing can come in underneath the door.
Ooh,
and I don't like having that crack available or hear it. And it was an old place, so it had a big space underneath the door. Was not anybody in the hallway. And so I was like, okay, do you know where my shirt is? Like, nope. I packed up that day. I looked everywhere. I tore the room apart. I looked in the fridge. I looked in the ice bucket. I looked under the beds. I found a lot of dust and hair that wasn't mine. I looked everywhere. I never found it. Never found it. I lost it that weekend, May of 2022. I guess some spirit wanted my shirt.
Yeah, it's better than therapy.
Exactly.
But that wasn't the scary time.
No, that wasn't the scary one. No, the only scary one I have was I was sleeping one night, and I don't know if I was in like that dream world where you're in between the dream and awake worlds, but I remember looking up to the corner and there was this big black splotch. And I remember looking at it, and then all of a sudden it came flying at me. I flipped my covers over. It felt like it was in a movie at that point. Flipped my covers over and just went like, my heart was in my chest. And I was like, okay. I'm just going to turn over now. And I went back to sleep. But that was the only.
I know.
Total Becky move. Yeah. That's what Becky does too. What did you do then? I fell asleep.
There was not an AP size hole in the wall. So
There should have been.
but that's the only time I've ever felt like scared of anything. But again, I don't know if I was fully awake or if it was in the dream world, but it was just like as it came at me.
Wow. I don't think it matters. I think we're able to perceive things in that like in between space.
Yep.
So was this in your house where this happened?
Yep.
The same house where the pictures fell off the mantle?
Yep.
Okay.
Years separation.
Sounds like there was something in that house that was not just your grandpa.
Could be, and it's never come back. So maybe it was just something that was passing through. I think the picture thing was an attention seeker.
But you no longer live in this house, right?
No, I live here.
Oh, okay. So this is okay. And you didn't move when you heard the
No.
crazy black. Okay. All
No.
right, well,
No.
yeah. Like I said, people in Minnesota are tough.
We have to weather 94 degrees with 100% humidity and negative 50
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
with wind chill.
So AP, those are terrifying. But you seem to be fine with it. You know, you just rolled back over and went to sleep. So
Mhm.
But that's just AP too. Like AP, it takes a lot to rattle her. Like it really does.
I
Like
love
that
it.
would have kept me up for a month. And AP's like, I gotta work tomorrow.
I talk
And
about this all the time. It's my logic brain or the rational brain rationalizes what something might be. And so it's like,
Might be.
So Amy,
Yes.
you also have some stories.
I do. Mostly just little things. Like I lived in an apartment where my cat, I had one cat, and she used to see things that weren't there. And she would like play with, like she was playing with another cat, but there was nothing there.
Oh, that's creepy.
Sweet.
And then there was one time when I was sitting on the couch and I had a coffee table in front of me. I was watching TV and the remote was sitting on the table. Nobody was touching it. Cat was sitting next to me. And the remote just slid across the table and then like it accelerated and took off and slammed onto the floor.
Ooh.
just so you guys know, Diana and Becky, I've heard this before, but every time it just gets me. It sounds like I'm hearing it for the same with AP. Like it sounds like, but every time I'm just like, holy cow.
It wasn't scary to me. I mean, it was weird.
Right.
I was like, what the sorry, what? But I didn't feel scared, and I lived in that apartment alone with just me and my cat, and I never felt unsafe or anything.
How long did you live there?
Yeah.
Like maybe a year and a half, 2 years maybe.
So you actually renewed the lease.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I loved that apartment. It was super cool. It was in a really cool part of town, and it was big, and it was cheap. I loved
That's
it.
my drag name, Big and Cheap.
Nice.
And then after that, I lived in another house which didn't really have anything. But that's when I was living there is when I started getting more and more interested in paranormal stuff and really starting to kind of dig into it. Then by the time we were moving out of that house and into what I call our haunted house, I was actually looking for a haunted house. And we ended up in an old Victorian built in 1887. And the second we toured it, the second I walked in, I was like, this is haunted and I want it. And we asked the realtor if it was haunted, and she said, I don't think so. Not that I know of. And I was like, oh, I was kind of, oh well. And then she realized that I wanted a haunted house. And so she did tell me that the owners had told her some stories, but she didn't tell me exactly what they were.
Oh.
When we first moved in, when you walked into the house, it had a really nice big foyer with wood paneling on the walls and a big staircase that went up to the second floor. And I was walking up to the second floor, and just as I got up there, out of the corner of my eye, so what would be right hanging over the rest of the staircase, I saw a woman just hanging from the ceiling. And when I spun to look, it was gone. But I definitely saw her, and I didn't have my hair like this. So
And it was not a Halloween decoration.
No.
'Cause it was
We
gone.
moved in August.
Yeah.
Be even creepier if it was a Halloween decoration that just disappeared.
Yeah, exactly.
I had expected from a ghost, but
Exactly. And that's where I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, there's something going on here.
what made you so sure she was a woman? You said specifically a woman, even though you just barely.
I feel like I saw long hair and like a flowy
Okay.
nightgown sort of.
Oh, even creepier.
So it
Nightgown.
felt like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much of it I registered, but like I saw it, and then when I went, double take, it was gone. In that house, this repeatedly happened. I would hear somebody yelling in my ear when I'm sleeping or laying in bed trying to sleep. I would hear, and it sounded like, Amy. And I couldn't tell if it was a whisper that was real close or if it was shouting from far away. It kind of was hard to distinguish that. And I told my husband about it, and he's a skeptic. And so he was like, oh, you probably just dreamed it. And then at one point, he heard it. He heard somebody calling in his ear. He thought it was me. I was sleeping in the guest bedroom because he had been snoring. And so he got up to see what I wanted, and he found me in the guest bedroom fast asleep. But he still doesn't believe in anything.
I have the same problem with my husband. They can't handle the truth. Yeah. It's easier to deny it than to come to terms with the fact that it actually happened.
Too, along those same lines, it's hard to acknowledge that the unknown and something that you don't have control over.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
That's definitely, he's an engineer, and he knows everything. And so if there's something he doesn't understand, it doesn't exist. It's a struggle.
Give him time.
It's been 30 years, but
Well, okay.
31 is that lucky number.
There you go.
How many years in the haunted house specifically?
we were in that house for 13 years.
Oh,
Exactly 13. How poetic.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Yeah. There were a bunch of things in there too. I also saw a full body apparition in our dining room, just standing there, a man in like a tunic and like floppy pants. And he was just standing there kind of like looking down, pointing down at the ground. And he disappeared pretty quickly too. And then I mentioned something to my neighbors, and they were like, oh, I bet that was one of the guys that lived there when this was a rooming house. And he was probably one of the guys that worked on the property somewhere.
Oh, sure.
I think everybody in that neighborhood had hauntings. It was every time I brought it up at like neighborhood get-togethers, people were like, "Oh yeah, I got this over here, whatever." It wasn't like, "Oh God, that lady, she's crazy." Everybody believed me because they all had stuff going on too.
Well, Amy, you said you also had a story that wasn't yours, but took place in the house.
Yes. So when we were moving out of this house, which I did not want to leave because I did not want to leave my ghost, but we had an open house, and my friend Melissa was our realtor, and she and her husband were our realtors. They were doing an open house, and she told me about this not even right away because she wasn't sure if I was, a believer. And so one day she was just like, I have a question for you. This was in between the open house and when we actually sold. And she's like, do you believe in like spirits or ghosts and stuff like that? And I'm like, yeah. And she told me that she's sensitive, and I didn't even know that until this. But her story is that she was getting ready for the haunted house. She was getting ready for the open house, and she was just sort of walking around and looking at the room and stuff. And she saw a man in the dining room doing something. It looked like he was handing out something, like he was, she said it looked like he was serving something or giving people something.
Huh.
And she said it seemed like less like a party and more like a business transaction sort of thing. And so she just sort of, with her mind, the way she describes it, asked him what his name was. And he said what sounded to her like Jim Cam. And she was like, oh, Cam? And he's like, no, can. And so then she was like, she goes, oh, I must be just thinking like Jim Cameron, that director. I'm making this up in my own head or whatever. And then people started coming in. So he disappeared. Then after everybody left, she was going around, turning off lights, closing up things. And she was in the dining room again. And the dining room had wallpaper, like had wainscoting on the bottom. So it was wood on the bottom. And then this really like kind of almost garish red wallpaper. It looked like a brothel. I loved it.
Sweet.
And she was like, had her hand on the wallpaper and was like touching it where it met the thing. And she felt this spirit lean over her and whisper in her ear, "You'll never find it." And she was like, what? And she said she never felt scared. He had more of an attitude of like kind of wink, wink, smarmy kind of thing. And then the second thing he said to her was, "I'm a bootlegger."
Okay. So we know what she will never find.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He disappeared. She was on her phone and she Googled bootlegger, Minneapolis, Cam or something like that. And up came this very notorious gangster in Minnesota named Kid Can. His real name is Isidore Blumenfield. His nickname, his gangster name was Kid Can, and he was a bootlegger. And he was like the godfather of Minneapolis back in the bootlegging days. And she had never heard of him before, but when she pulled it up on her phone and she saw the picture of him, she's like, that's him.
Whoa.
Wow. So you never found the entrance to the speakeasy in your basement?
No. I mean, it was a big basement. It was a full, like, it wasn't
Whoa.
finished, but it was a very tall basement. Like, you absolutely could have done something down there.
How close were you to like Nicollet or Harriet or any of those islands? Because there's a lot of tunnels that ran through Minneapolis.
We were not super close to any of those. However, we were half of a block from the synagogue. And I do remember he was a Jewish gangster. And I do remember hearing later, when I did a lot of research on this, that there were tunnels from the temple to a bunch of the nearby homes.
Okay.
So there very well could have been a tunnel to our house.
Well, Megan.
Let me go get some popcorn quick.
I feel like they've really hyped me up, but
Megan won't even tell the story we're thinking of. She'll tell all the other ones, but not that one.
It will involve a Megan-shaped hole in the wall at some point.
they should all, honestly. So I actually, so I went to school in Wisconsin. I went to school in Stevens Point and I rented a house, and a spirit attached itself to me at that house and it followed me everywhere. I would have dreams where everything in the dream was the way that it was in real life, down to the clock changing, but I couldn't move. So I hate those dreams. But he followed me. Oh my gosh, he followed me overseas. So I lived in the Middle East for 2.5 years, and my first apartment that I lived in there was super duper haunted with something very negative that clearly wanted me out. I would have terrifying dreams where a black shape would emerge from like my closet and scream, "This house is mine," and like fly at me. The doors in that house, I would close them and I would wake up and they'd be wide open and my cats would be in the room. And they weren't the pull down handles where you're like, well, cats could do that. They were the round ones that you need opposable thumbs to turn.
Right.
Which cats notoriously lack.
It's one of their few flaws. They would look at areas and like they'd wake from a dead sleep and look at the same area every night, just like stare at it.
This is your house in the Middle East.
Yeah, this was my apartment in the
Okay.
Middle East.
So would it say this is my house in English, or
Yeah.
was it in?
Yeah, it said
Oh,
it
really?
said this is mine. This is mine.
Okay.
And it was this he was very menacing. And after that dream, I was awake for a week. I couldn't sleep for a week after that.
Ouch.
And unfortunately, horrible coincidence, there was an earthquake, I think, in Pakistan, and we felt tremors of it in Bahrain. So I was laying in bed and my bed shook right after I'd had this dream. I almost crapped my pants. I almost joined the spirits because I was petrified. I had the light on in my room all night. So I get back to America, and when I was in Minnesota, I was living with the guy that I was dating, and I was in my apartment that I shared with him, and I will swear on a stack of Bibles. I was in the shower and I heard the door open and close. And we started talking. We had a conversation. I said, "Oh, I'm glad you're home. Like, I'm glad you're safe. Bleep, bloop, blop, whatever." So I'm like, okay, well, he just went to watch TV, and I finished drying, the shower. I get out and the door opens and closes again. And I'm like, that's weird. I, went out and I looked at him. I'm like, well, where did you go? And he goes, what are you talking about? And I said, well, you came home and we talked and then you left. Where did you go again? And he's like, I just got home. And I said, no, you didn't. I said, you came home and I was in the shower. We had a conversation through the bathroom. It sounded just like you. I said, what are you doing? Like, stop playing with me. And he was like, no, I swear I just got home. So I had a mimic in that house. I would see a man at the end of my bed watching me. So I lived all over the United States. I married somebody in the Navy. And when I was living in Texas, so the way that the bedroom was the bed was here, and then there was like kind of a wall, and then the bathroom you would walk out to. And so one night a man walked out of the bathroom, stood at the end of my bed, turned and looked at me, and had long hair, like to my shoulder, like my length hair, was very thin, dark hair. And I like blinked and he was gone. And I don't know why there wasn't a Megan-shaped hole in the wall at that point. Like, I was just like too, like, what the hell's happening to be scared. Mm-hmm. So then I went to Madison with this guy that I was dating, and we were sleeping, and I was in the wedding. And do you remember from the 90s, those like twirly things, the gems that you would twirl into your hair? So I had a bunch of those in my hair, and I put them on the nightstand. And my then partner had gone up to go to the bathroom, I thought, because he came back and walked around the bed and next to me and reached down to the nightstand. And I thought he was just grabbing chapstick. So I'm like, whatever. There was a very defined man shape, and he very clearly reached down to grab something. So I was like, oh, it's just him. Well, imagine my shock when he walked through the door a couple minutes later. And I was like, what the hell? I mean, this is so cliche, but like, I never got, like, when that happened, it was curiosity from this thing. Like, what are these? I don't know what they are. There was a group of paranormal mediums here in the Twin Cities, and I found them in a meetup. And I contacted them, and I'm like, I have X, Y, and Z happening at my house. I'm watched all the time. Like, this happens. So they came and they communicated with him, and they found out his name was Frank. He was from the 1800s, and I reminded him of his sister. And so that's why he kind of attached to me and was protecting me. But there was one time when I had first moved back to the States from the Middle East, and I was at a stoplight in Madison, Wisconsin, and this girl jumped in my car, and she said, can you give me a ride? And I was young and stupid, and I said, sure, no problem.
Why were your car doors not locked at this point in time was always my question I want to ask.
She shouldn't be already in the car when she asks you that.
Because my car was old and it didn't automatically lock.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
I don't have the push start car. I still have a key, like a peasant. So she got in my car, and she had a backpack, and she put the backpack on her lap, and we're sitting there at the red light because it still stopped. Like, we're still at the red light, and she paused, and she looked at me, and she said, I don't think this is a good idea. And she left. She got out of the car. And I think that was Frank protecting me from whatever she was going to do to me.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh. Okay.
I mean, he was with me. He moved with me everywhere. I was in the Middle East. There was a lot of negative spirits that I had in the Middle East.
Do you think that he protected you in
Yes.
some way when you were over there?
I do.
Okay. But you eventually got him to go away?
Yep, they helped him move on when they came to
Okay.
visit me.
Well, do you miss him? I mean,
Sometimes, shockingly. It's funny because of the three of us, I'm the scared-diest, which is a word. AP is very like, okay, well, let's figure this out. And Amy's like, okay, well, that could be something, but let's maybe try to narrow down the list. And I'm like, oh my God, it's real. Oh my God, we're all going to die.
And I would have been, as soon as I knew his name was Frank, I'd been like, okay, Frank, here's the deal. And I would just talk to him constantly. I still talk to all of my grandparents have passed. I talk to them all at different times.
Yeah.
I lost a friend suddenly from an accident. And when I found out about that, I yelled and screamed at her. And then I actually went to a medium shortly after that. I had already had a meeting scheduled, and that medium said, I've never had someone who has died this recently come back this strong. And she was there. And she's like, she wants you to know she's sorry for all the things she called you that you never heard. We had a falling out at one point, and we had just reconnected a couple months before her death.
Oh, my. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch.
But that's where, I don't know if you ever did, Megan, but I always would have been like, okay, Frank, what are we doing today? What's
No.
going on?
Never. No.
I would have done that too.
I know, but this was me, 12 years ago,
Yeah.
13 years ago, because I went to the Middle East in 2010. And he was with me since college, which was 2006.
So where did you pick him up?
In this house that I rented.
Okay.
And I know the night that it happened because my roommate and I had been watching a movie in my bedroom, and he had fallen asleep in my bed. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go take your bed then. I'm not sleeping on the floor. So I went in his bedroom, and that's the first night that I had that dream where everything was the same. The clock was moving. I just couldn't move. And that's when I think he attached to me, because a couple of nights later I saw a black spot, a black cloud up above my bedroom. So I think that's... Plus, he was from Wisconsin. He was a farmer in Wisconsin.
I was going to say he was probably a farmer. I don't know why, but I keep feeling like he was German heritage
He
with
might have
all of
been.
that too, just because, Wisconsin is heavily in those areas too.
Very German. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wow.
He might have lived in that house.
I think he did. I think he
It was
probably
old-
lived on that
old
land
house.
or...
Yeah.
In your roommate's room. So then when you went in there, it was like, oh, it's my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The scariest ones, though, I think they were the jinn in the Middle East. They were very aggressive.
So you think they were Jen?
Yeah, I think they were jinn. Yeah.
Did you hear from your landlord or anything? Did anybody else? Were
No.
you friends with your neighbors?
People in the Middle East, from what I've understood, are very superstitious. So they believe that if you talk about something, you're kind of
Bringing it
almost
on? Yeah.
manifesting it. And so we didn't really talk about it.
Okay, so Megan, you're very haunted.
Yes. Which is so unfortunate because I'm the scaredest of them all.
Well,
Those are some ghost stories.
this has been so much fun to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you.
been so great to get to know you and see your faces after hearing your voices. You guys have some really, really scary stories. So tell people, before we close out, tell people where they can find you. The Activity Continues. It's the name of your podcast. You're available on all platform providers and YouTube.
Yep.
And you have a website.
Yep. It's theactivitycontinues.com, and everything is
Correct.
there. So, that's like your one-stop shop for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And on our website, too, we have our RSS feed. So if you have like a kind of quirky app, but you can add shows by RSS feed, you can copy that and use it that way.
And if you go to our website, we have a spot you can share your ghost stories with, and we will read them on
Please.
our podcast at any point in time.
And we
That's
also, on our website, have a little thing at the bottom of the screen that's a little microphone. And if you click on that, you can leave a voice message.
So Haunted Loves, if you've always
So
wanted to tell your ghost story, but you're just a little too not cool with being interviewed live, this might be an opportunity for you to tell it. Just saying.
Yes.
No hard feelings. If you end up on someone else's show, just give us a shout out. We will find you.
Thank you for having us. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for
Awesome.
entertaining our winding path of thoughts.
Yes.
Appreciate you all.
Well, Hainted Loves, what do you think? If a strange woman leapt into your car and asked you to drive away, would you ask Frank to scare her out? Or would you just have a spooky day?
Homespun Haints is hosted by Becky Kielimnik and Diana Doty, and produced by Homespun Haints Media LLC. Editing and music by Becky Kielimnik. Show notes by Diana Doty. If you have a ghost story and you'd like to be considered as a guest for this podcast, please visit our website at homespunhaints.com/submit.